Welcome back. Welcome back to your first week. Welcome back to Project Zomboid. Now, by this point, it is closing in on 6 in the morning. That means there's going to be an episode of The Cook Show. So we're immediately going to turn that on while I talk about the plans for this episode. So if you're following along at home with the same burglar start here in Rosewood, the chances are decently high that you might have a car by this point. So, that brings into the question. We have a car and can go just about anywhere. Do we stay in town or do we establish a new base? And while Rosewood is a fine enough town and there's plenty of good places to live here, I would say that since we have a car and can work our way out farther on the map, that we might as well. And in particular, I have a couple places in mind. Now, I'll talk more in depth about base selections towards the end of the video, where I'll show off some good ones per town. But as far as Rosewood goes, where I would personally take us is just north out of town. Which is to say there's a... I'll show you why. In both Build 41 and Build 42, just outside of town, there's going to be a rather nice military barracks area. But since we are playing in Build 42, I'm going to go ahead and say that there's a different place in mind I want to base up. Now, it's going to be quite far, and it's around here-ish. But I want to take us to Darkwalla Lake. Still can't believe we actually got a smithing magazine. That's good. That's good for helping establish yourself in that particular skill. Frustrating as it admittedly slightly is, given I've been looking for one of those on my main casual playthrough for a little bit and just have not been able to find them. But as they say in the business, it is what it is. Now, there's a fog developing right now, so we might not necessarily want to go out. But look at your modals. If there's ever something you're unsure on what to do, look and see what your most immediate needs are. In my case, it's food, so I'm going to go ahead and slam back cabbage. Entire cabbage successfully slammed. And now we don't have any outstanding noodles to drive in a fog like this. But looting the neighbors, especially for our new expanded backpack, that might be workable. So let's go through and see what everyone was keeping on them. If anything substantial at all. We have a bottle of bleach, good for disinfecting things or purging infections from your system. If you know, you know. We have a pair of boots. Boots are pretty much universally the best type of footwear in the game. You see how it says run speed modifier there? That actually doesn't work. That system does not function properly right now in the current patch to Build 42. So, not only do boots protect your feet 100% of the time, but if you need to engage in stomping your enemy, they do the most damage. The various sizes of shoe do the most, do more or less damage depending on how big they are. And boots are going to be your best bet as far as stomping enemies to death goes. But we've gotten ourselves some food from that. Go ahead and slip through our secret window entrance there. Now, we don't have anything that really... Well, I guess we have that processed cheese. We don't have anything that super desperately needs to be kept cold or frozen. I like putting drinks like milk, soda, beer, and other hard alcohols in my fridge. Just like as an immersion thing. But it's not required. I like putting my bottles of bleach under the sink because that is a place where you wouldn't accidentally consume them as food. Put our shoes in the closet next to our starter pistol. Let's go over to the garage and see if we can get some work done there too. And it looks like someone's upset at us. Hello, ma'am. Remember, push the zombies over and aim for the head. Steel sheet. I don't see an immediate use for that, but I'm sure we can figure it out. Sheet metal snips. A fishing book. I'd have to double check. We might already have that one. Packaged peas. I'm gonna go ahead and take the chest freezer with us. It's not like the most useful thing, but having an extra freezer space can be helpful. And we have room in the kitchen, so we might as well. Like, bare minimum, we have room in the kitchen, so why not? I'm really just trying to kill time idly around the neighborhood till the fog goes away. Because trying to drive in this is an excellent way to damage your car. Because driving in this game isn't easy on the best of days. And so trying to drive in a fog like this, bad idea. But now we have a nice little chest freezer to store. Not me, accidentally storing my drinks in the freezer part of the fridge. The steel sheet, if we manage to stumble upon welding equipment, that could be really helpful. Whoa! Sir? You're not supposed to be in my garage. Looks like we got visitors. Now, I will say, this fog does have a positive benefit for us. It actually, in Build 42 only, this does not apply if you're still playing Build 41, but in Build 42, the fog does properly obscure sightlines now. Yeah, it took them long enough to actually add that as a mechanic. But it does. It does actually obscure sightlines now. And so that can help with allowing you to actually perform stealth easily. Gonna put, see, the vice grips, all the sheet metal related stuff. I'm gonna put that on the shelf. We are taking that generator with us if we're gonna be moving out to a new place. See, a draw plate, an iron pipe, another steel sheet. Plenty of equipment to do welding with. Rope is always just generally helpful to have as well. So pick some of that up whenever you see it. But yeah, we're getting a lot of metalworking stuff. Or, sorry, welding stuff. Metalworking is what blacksmithing is considered now. My mistake. Put the large handle and the rope in there. Put the, actually, we'll wash the high-vis vest and the work boots off, along with the rest of what we're currently carrying on us. Take the jar lid. That's still helpful. Take the tin can. We might be able to melt that down if we can get a forge set up. Which, man, that'd be a cool goal to round out the week with, is getting blacksmithing established. But yes, while I'm still in the killing time phase, we're gonna go ahead and wash off all of our clothes. Right, I am now remembering why we don't wash off our clothes. You know what, with the knowledge we do plan to leave this area, I'm less hesitant to use up the water. Like, we are gonna go ahead and leave. We're gonna clear out of this place. So, might as well use up the resources we have while we have them. It's gonna take a while for us to wash off the blood off of everything we're carrying, because we are carrying quite a bit, but if you have a character with the fear of blood trait, this is an important thing to do just in general, because your character will get stressed and they will get all sorts of depressed and unhappy if you do not wash yourself off fairly regularly. If you are running a character with fear of blood, it's basically a requirement you live near a source of active flowing water. Because otherwise, man, you're just gonna go through so much of it washing your clothes on pretty much a daily basis, or you're gonna be condemned to just rotting away in your base forever. Which, while that second one might not necessarily be a bad way to play the game when you're trying to survive your first week only, it's kind of boring. So that's why I want to go out on adventures and show things off. The simple reason of I just think playing the game in the way of never leaving your spawn, while a good and effective strategy, is just a little boring for a video series like this. Well, now we've washed ourselves off all the way. Very good. Still have 40 minutes until Life and Living airs next, so let's go ahead and drop off the protective equipment we have with our other stuff. We could wash ourselves off too. That is something I did think about. Yeah, now we have a dust mask, work boots, and a high-vis jacket. Okay. Now, we have used up a majority of our morning. It looks like the fog has pretty much dissipated. So, as soon as we watch this episode of Life and Living, we are going to go ahead and chart a course for where I want to live. Ooh, while we're sitting here doing Life and Living, you see all these skill books we picked up? Go ahead and read whichever one sounds like something you might be interested in doing. In my case, we have all of that metalworking equipment, so I'm going to pick up and start reading the welding book while I let the TV show play. Alright, and there we go. We've essentially read the first chapter of that particular book. And woodcraft is all done. Got some good XP out of it. So, from this point, we have a couple options. We can either keep going and looting the immediate neighborhood we're in. But like I said, I personally want to get us moved out in the direction of another town. Now, if we are going to move, I am going to say it's pretty important we get ourselves a source of gasoline. We have the ability to siphon the stuff, but that's more or less it. So, what we're going to do is take our car, and since we are still here in Rosewood, we're going to head... Well, hello. I hadn't planned on that. That is a survivor home. These tend to have pretty good caches of loot if you can get into them successfully. Okay, the goal has changed. Now we're gonna go on a little bit of an adventure. In particular, we need to look for a way to bust that thing open. Go down. Thank you. As always, watch your character condition, watch the muscle strain, make sure you're not just going to explode in a pile of pain at any moment. Steel rod. Alright, we at least have a backup weapon. I was looking to see if maybe we could luck out and find, like, a hammer or something. Because in order to get in there, those barricades are gonna have to go. And while waiting for the zombies to do that job for us is an option, it's not a particularly attractive one. So I want to see if we can maybe find ourselves a hammer or a crowbar or something to take that out the less difficult way. Hi. Yeah, go ahead and just take out the idle zombies in the area while we search for a hammer. And yes, I saw there was a basement attached to that house. We are on a mission right now. We are on a mission to loot that survivor house so I can show off why those are so good. A worn claw hammer will still do the job we need it to. Welding torch is a good find too, given what we've found recently. Okay. So, with an axe, like a hatchet, an axe, a wood axe, or even just a stone axe, a claw hammer specifically, or a crowbar, you can go up and pry barricades off of windows. Which is what we're going to go ahead and do to let ourselves on in here. Matter of fact, it looks like there's a particular weak point right here. So go ahead and let ourselves on in. Don't feel bad if you have to break the window down. Now, you're going to be fighting this primarily indoors, so it's very important you watch yourself here. Ooh, we found a fanny pack with the keys to our Masters and Horizon and this house. The keys to this house is a bit of a useless find, given the circumstances, but the keys to that car might potentially be useful. Hey, you left a shrimp out here for me? Thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and procure that to get rid of my own hunger. Yeah, do not feel at all bad about stealing things from people's ovens. Quite frankly, they left that there for you. Aha! The important thing I want to show off. If you hear banging and aren't quite on a door and aren't quite sure where it is, visually watch the doors. Whatever is currently being clawed at will have an obvious visual tell. But okay. Now, in Build 41, this would be a lot of weapons and be a lot of food, medical supplies. Sometimes you'll find zombies with bags. In Build 42, these tend to be a good source of harder to obtain skill books and weapon and armor and tool schematics. Like right here, we have a sewing kit. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take that. That's nice. We have some medical supplies and some food. Helpful, although not like immediately selling because something like that flour. We have a cooking level 4 skill book. Now that's worth taking with us. We could invest in that later. Check what type of knee pads we're wearing. We are wearing workman knee pads. I'm going to swap over to the sport ones because I think they look nicer. Part of this game does come down to fashion after a little while. The elbow pads actually do have a stat difference that I would like to call attention to. They have slightly less than the discomfort stat when they are the sport model. Dark Wallow Guest House. Well now, you know the lake I was talking about moving us over to? Yep, that's the resort I would recommend you avoid under any circumstance. But the fact we found that lake as a map marker is helpful. Alright, annotated map. This one's of Louisville. And this will point out potential places you might want to make a base here, as well as a house that I believe will always spawn some extra loot. Now, just reading that will reveal that small chunk of Louisville on your map. But that said, without mods, you can't actually copy over the annotations. These schematics, they just say armor schematic or melee weapon schematic without a specific one marked down. These contain several recipes at once. So I'm going to go ahead and take them. Shoes, and nothing else really in there. We've got some good medical supplies. A box of bandages. Even with first aid and medical not being particularly useful skills, it's the sort of thing where when you don't have it, you wind up needing it. And when you need it, that's when you forgot to pick any up. So picking those up is just good practice in general. Like, even if you don't think you're going to get injured, and let's be clear here, you shouldn't be. If you're playing carefully, like I advise, you shouldn't be. It's still generally good practice to pick up some emergency supplies just in case. Because best case scenario, you never need them. Worst case, you get caught out and don't have them. But that said, I'm going to go ahead and take back some of the things like the skill books we've collected and put them in our shelf. We have a book on tracking, beginner glassmaking, which we might have already had that one. No, we had a higher level glassmaking book, as it turns out. Let's see, we have carving and cooking. We have a master level medical book. This is going to be a good place to store our annotated maps, and our schematics. Right underneath the television. Go ahead and put the VHS tapes on the shelf as well. We're hungry, so I'm going to go ahead and eat the peanuts. Okay, put the tea bag in there, the flour, the cinnamon. Put the drinks in the fridge. The welding torch is a really good find. Put the medical supplies in our upstairs bathroom, along with the other ones. Put the sewing kit in there too. The needle and thread can be used to patch up deep wounds if through some freak accident you get one. So generally helpful to have a way to stitch yourself up on standby as well if you happen to get injured, which again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. You shouldn't be. You should be playing a lot more carefully than that. Accidents do happen. Like, even the most careful person can get caught off guard in this game. Matter of fact, if you take nothing away from these videos this first week, take this away. Overconfidence is what will get you killed in this game above all else. Thinking, oh, I'll be fine, or, oh, I can take them, is an excellent way to ensure that you wind up not making it through that day. Know your limits, play smart, and play carefully. Okay. But it is now time for our second edition of Exposure Survival. This one is going to be a show on basic agriculture. Now, farming has gotten all sorts of reworks in this new build. Now it's split up into agriculture, which is what the farming skill in Build 41 was called for people who still are playing on that. Then we have animal care and butchering. Not sure I'll get into a lot of those last two, but I do at least want to show off a little bit of agriculture, and this will get us some basic levels in it. And while Dean from Exposure Survival talks here, we're going to go ahead and keep reading our welding book. Just plug away in that, get plenty of progress put in. And we are officially tired. Now that makes sense, because we woke up pretty early in the day. But with saying that, I am actually going to be a bit risky here. I'm going to look and see if we have some coffee or some caffeine pills. We have tea. Okay. Now this is going to make our character a little bit unhappy, but I'm going to go ahead and eat the tea bag just raw so we can stave off the tiredness and keep or finish looting that survivor house. There's still a lot of good stuff up for grabs there that I want to go ahead and bring back with us, and we'll move to Dark Wallow in the next episode. Because we got kind of a bad start with fog, and we found this survivor house, which I had no idea was on the block. So our plans got a little bit derailed, but it was in a positive direction. Which isn't always the case in this game. Most of the time, if your plans go sideways, it's because you got chased out by zombies. Not that you found a nice cache of loot. So we're going to go ahead and step on back through. Yeah, there's nothing in there we want. Nothing in there we want. We have some water. We have some water and a little bit of food. Ice cream, packaged corn. An entire water dispenser bottle. Okay, we might have to make a stop to pick one of those up. That one of the best short-term solutions for bulk storing water in the game. It can hold 15 entire liters. That's just... I don't think I need to explain why that's good. Like, I feel like that kind of speaks for itself as to why you'd want that. Let's see. Nothing else in there. A catcher's vest. That is going to make us uncomfortable, but that's good chest armor if you need it. Early indigenous armor. That teaches us how to make things out of bones. Melee weapon schematics, an iron pipe. And I think that'll about do it. Yeah. Yep, that was a pretty good survivor house, all things considered. Usually these can spawn with more books, but on this occasion, I feel like the amount of resources we got, not half bad. We got plenty of food, we got medical supplies, and we have quite a few good schematics and skill books. Alright, go ahead and take our car back. Now, I have no idea where the Masterson Horizon is that we got the keys for. I'm going to assume that it's probably somewhere on Rosewood's main street. Which wouldn't exactly be the most advisable place for us to go. Not necessarily, like, the worst idea, considering it's still early, so Rosewood isn't going to be extremely busy, but definitely not like the safe way I'm trying to advise people to play. So I'm not so sure about that one. I heard a zombie tumble over a fence. Where are they? I heard a zombie tumble over a fence. Aha. Don't be afraid to defend your property with your life if you have to. Hey! Come on. You're a bit too close to where I sleep for my liking. Yeah, proactively clearing out zombies like that is a good practice. If you see someone loitering near your base and, like, you're still good on energy, go ahead and just take them out. Because the worst thing is that you leave that problem to fester until you get overrun. So that's who came barreling over. You weren't through a fence. You came in from my bathroom. Well, either my bathroom or the main part of my house. Either way, you're not welcome. But hey, because we leave those couple of windows open for ease of mobility, they didn't break anything. So, take the silver linings where you can. At least we still have windows, even if that was a little bit of a scare. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the catcher's vest in our wardrobe upstairs. Yeah, we have a lot of good weapons and armor schematics. Put the book on early indigenous people armor in. And you know what? Since we still have some time before we get tired, let's read all the latest in violence technology. No, it's not your video that's bugged out. There's just generally no sound when you're reading over schematics like this. It's weird. We now know how to make some basic armors. Let's read the general purpose melee weapon schematic. We'll be able to forge a machete blade and a short sword blade from this one. Aha, see, sometimes melee weapon schematics like that can overlap. And they can act like that already teaches us how to forge a machete blade, so we didn't necessarily need to pick that up. Generally speaking, though, I like to collect things, so I picked it up just that way I could have it. We now know how to carve a short bat. Let's figure out how to make a bone club. Yeah, due to the weapon classes we've been using, we haven't generated any maintenance XP at all. But we are building up weapon skill levels, which helps reduce muscle strain. Which I would say is an important thing in its own right. Let's read the book on bone and wood armor as well. The wood armor, I can already just guess, is going to make our characters super uncomfortable to wear, based on the fact that you're basically just walking around in planks. Well, alright. Now that we've killed some time with some light reading, as is procedure, we're going to go ahead and turn off the TV, so that way nothing can hear us. And we're going to go ahead and head upstairs. This isn't where the video is going to end, though, as I want to fire up a fresh world with the map revealed and show some good places to potentially base up in the various 5 spawn towns. So if you're cool with that and you're down with that, go ahead and stick around. If you're not necessarily cool with that, then I will see you tomorrow for day number 3. So you're looking for a good place to base up, huh? Somewhere to rest your head in this whole apocalypse thing? Well, fortunately for you, I do in fact have a few places per town I would say are generally safe places to attempt to live. So, first off, if you're spawning here in Echo Creek, which is where the character who's doing this demonstration has spawned, honestly, there's not a whole ton of super great places to live here. This little green building here is the town's gas station. Amazing place. It's got a 2nd floor apartment, almost always spawns with a basement. Worth going here. There's a couple of really nice farmhouses with good layouts. I'd recommend checking out this one right here. It's got a shed. It's got a little garage. It's got a shed. The layout is super nice. It's in the far southern end of town. And if you want somewhere slightly outside of town, but not like super duper far, go down the road until you reach this part of the lake with the Echo Creek. This is a cultist compound. It's gonna be slightly more busy than other locations, but it is generally speaking, like, look at the amount of room you have here. There's gonna likely be some pigs in the little shed here. Good place to go. And it's just outside of town, so it's not gonna be very busy at all. Rosewood, like our main character has. First off, there's a high chance you might spawn in one of these 2 houses down here. These houses are worth considering on their own. They've got plenty of room, spawn with basements very frequently, and are on the outskirts of town, so shouldn't be very busy. The Rosewood Fire Department is an ever-popular choice and is that way for a reason, though it's a lot less attractive in Build 42 as they've actually added quite a lot of population around here, especially overflowing from the nearby police station. It's not effortless to secure anymore. Now, my personal recommendation for places to base in Rosewood is actually slightly outside of it. Follow the main street of town north directly out and keep going until you reach this bend. Then keep following that until you reach the military barracks. 8 little houses, a decent amount of loot in all of them, and basically entirely safe. There's some farms you can loot and pick up animals or just more supplies from the sheds. There's a nearby little workshop that has a decent chance of spawning a generator because it's considered a garage. The food warehouses aren't that good anymore. They were amazing in Build 41 because you could get like sacks of potatoes. Not that good in this build anymore, but I still picked them up because you can pick up crates out carpentry levels now. And if you want somewhere that might be a bit more of a project, the drive-in movie theater is worth considering. There's a ton of room here for building up and making your own base, if that's what you'd rather do. And it's almost entirely surrounded by tall fences, which I will state isn't going to be an effortless defense anymore, but it's still worth considering. You've spawned in Moldra. I'm always so conflicted on this town. This is where I learned how to play the game, but man, does this place not make that easy. You have a decent chance at spawning in this little gated community neighborhood, and honestly, all the houses here are potentially worth considering as places to base up. You're likely to spawn here, and all the houses are pretty much surrounded by fence lines. Pick whichever one you spawn in, or whichever one has a layout you like the most. I like the greenhouse pretty much on the center here. The isolated house surrounded by a wooden fence has always been a popular option. The one downside this place has is that it's small. But, like, there's no getting better security than this place here in Moldra. The zombie population in the far north of town tends to be pretty low. And so it's going to serve you well. You can spawn here too. And if you do, I'd honestly recommend just reinforcing and hunkering down. Never seen a basement spawn here though, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was possible. If something more rural is more your fancy though, go immediately north to the farmhouse, made famous by the CDDA challenge. Now in Build 42, this place is gonna be a little bit busy, but so is everywhere in Build 42. It's not a surprise. It's gonna have animals, and it's gonna be a good place to bunker down if you want to engage in the rural aspects of the game. Riverside. This entire gated community is worth considering. It's got tall metal fences all around it. Now, this is going to be less good once they finish implementing that mechanic in Build 42. This place is probably going to lose its status as a base a lot. But you can still make it work. It's got tall fences all around. All of the houses here are 2-story houses and have good chances at spawning basements too, from what I've noticed. Worth living and considering this place. The bar is on the outskirts of town, is a likely spawn location, and is easily defendable. It's got a fence out its back, and is in pretty much the edge of Riverside's population zone. Good place that I would strongly recommend. If you're willing to go on a bit of a trip, or want to potentially explore Brandenburg at some point, consider the general store right on the outskirts of town. In Build 42, they actually nerfed the population out near here, and it's no longer completely stupid and unmanageable. Meaning this is going to be like a couple of in-game hours of a clear if you get here early, and it's super safe. There's a nearby gas station, although it might be run down. The pumps might be not working. There's a little bathroom area. You're right near the river, so there's plenty of water. There's a bait shop. Gonna have fish and supplies in that. Worth considering. In West Point, you have a couple of good options. You have the American Tire store right on the outskirts of town. Gonna take some work to make livable, but it's on the outskirts of town, so it's not gonna be immediate murder like West Point proper is. Even in this build, when they kind of nerf the population, it's still bad. Really, though, if you're spawning in West Point, the acceptable and often recommended place is go west out of town until you reach this little lake with the houses next to it. 2-story houses, good chance of spawning basements in all of them. Right near the river, fenced in on this one here, and low fences on this one here. In build 42, this place is going to be at least a little bit of effort. I've seen a few zombies spawn here in the past, but nothing unmanageable at all. West Point itself, these houses on the outskirts of town aren't a bad option. Or this church, if that's your style. They're not exactly great, but you can make them work, and they're not going to be as immediately lethal as everywhere else.